welcome. But you probably want to stay here and talk to our special guest this evening for how to choose the right health insurance company in Portugal. We have Nuno Mendes and Cataracts here tonight from Winsurance. So good evening to you both. Great to have you here.
Good evening. Good evening to everyone.
Wonderful. So we will start with a bit of an introduction. I think Nuno will tell us a little bit about Winsurance and what's so special about the company, with whom we have a special relationship now. And I trust some of you will as well in due course. So we'll have the introduction. Do keep the questions coming in via the comments. And I will field those to Nuno, and Carla will be helping behind the scenes as well to make sure you're okay in the comments with any email addresses, contact details, and that sort of thing, and to clarify anything that you may have missed. So, Nuno, Winsurance, lovely to have you here. Could you start by telling us a little bit about the company?
So, good evening all once again, or good afternoon, because I saw a lot of lights on some cameras. So I'm the director of Winsurance. We are an insurance broker. I especially have the expats line developer and special lines like fine art and some strange things to insure with me. And I feel very pleased to be here and advise about healthcare insurance.
Okay.
Or health insurance.
How long have you been in the business of insurance?
Well, 15 years, 50 years. Not I, because I'm not, I don't have yet 50, but since 50 years, we are in the business.
Amazing. So plenty of experience there with Winsurance. So yeah, especially I was talking about the special relationship that people might develop with you. What's different about with Winsurance? What can people expect that helps them navigate through what is, I mean, from my own experience, it can be quite tricky from the first point of view of being an expat and not speaking the language. But I think the Portuguese insurance ecosystem, if we call it that, is quite complicated, right? Can you help us crack that nut?
It's true. It's very complicated. Usually, Portuguese people say that the wordings are the fonts are very little because previously insurance write the wordings with a font very small.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Exactly. Not today's because it is mandatory to have a minimum of the font. But it's tricky. There are a lot of issues to analyze. The wordings are all different. So we need to go deep on it to compare and adequate, provide the best solution to each people.
Okay. All right. And so your differentiators are presumably personal service, because that's another problem we have, or I've experienced myself, is you'll ring a helpline or try and get a quote, and the language barrier will be there, or there'll be some really difficult technology online that you're asked to complete, which I have to say I've really struggled with. Do you take some of that sort of mystery and difficulty out of the equation, and can you offer a more personal service in that?
Well, I strongly believe on the digital world. So we also are more and more digital with an app to our clients. So we are omni-channel business, but on the relation with the people, if we are talking with people, we need to talk to people, not just go to a simulator. How I can?
Yes, indeed. Yeah,
and do a quote. For that, people don't need us.
Okay.
But we could add value on the things that people don't know, and doing a quote, we never be aware of those issues. Okay. So that's where we put our effort.
So some good hand holding there, metaphorically, of course, from Winsurance. What else differentiates you, Nuno, from the competition? And basically, why should people who are members of Expats Portugal sign up and get a quote from you?
Mainly, we just don't will quote without asking for some what the people actually want. What are their age? If they have already a plan and only want a background here in Portugal, they travel or they stay here all year. So they have previous conditions or congenital conditions or don't. So we need to know about the people.
Okay,
we need to talk.
So a very tailored and specific service. Okay, sorry, I interrupted you. Go on.
Yes. No. Usually we prepare 2 or 3 quotes just to have an idea what we are handling with, and then we like to talk with the people and analyze the quotes and adjust to what they really need.
Okay. And am I right in thinking then that obviously the approach you described there is shopping around, getting the best deal? If I go to my bank, as I have done, they tend to be tied to one broker, right? Is this something people should look out for in Portugal? Is that often people are just going down one route rather than shopping around when you get a quote from your bank or from an agency?
Actually, when people go to a bank, the banks don't drive the people to a broker. They subscribe directly the policy. The problem is that the one who works on the bank don't understand insurance. They just have marks and the objectives, and they need to do X thousand euros per month or per year on health insurance and just sign here. That's one of the biggest problem with the bank Nova Rede. The one who are in Portugal are aware of the problem, because people of the bank just tell to customers, sign here, and people sign, and we know what's happened.
Okay, worth knowing, and I think I have experienced that, I have to say myself. And when you're an expat, it's understandable why you might do that, because you've created a relationship with the bank, and then they one thing leads to another, as it were, and you go on to a next product. So now we have an alternative in the form of Winsurance here, and you can speak to Nuno about that. So first of the questions coming in, unless there's anything else you want to add about your approach or your business, Nuno, before we get into the questions.
No, just follow the conversation.
Fire the conversation. Okay. He's ready to eat the questions up. Definitely have a question about repatriation coverage for US citizens, as I have seen some Portuguese insurance quotes that are quite small, and I believe they cover repatriation to Portugal, not the US, which is what I needed, as I understand, for the D7 visa. So you'll have dealt with some of this, the specific insurance requirements to go with the D7 visa and thereafter for American citizens. Can you elaborate on that?
What we know about the health insurance, how it works. First, to have a health insurance in Portugal, people need to have the fiscal number, a Portuguese fiscal number.
Yeah.
So they need to be not Portuguese citizens, but they need to have the fiscal number to access to the public system, and then we can, and also to the private sector of insurance. Otherwise, we can't insure a business or a person without a fiscal number. What we know about the expats who come from Portugal, to access to the private sector, they need to fill S1 form. That's on the internet. That's what we know. We know about insurance. We don't know deep about things of the people who come to live in Portugal. What are the legal documentation or the legal issues where they need to face.
Okay. Okay, but specifically in here with repatriation, that's the detail of insurance policies, right? And you can access that sort of thing.
The repatriation usually is a coverage in personal accident policies.
Okay.
Okay. On health insurance, the focus is to provide healthcare where the people is, okay? Where they are.
Okay, yeah, where the resident. Okay, got it. Thank you. Hopefully, Roberto, that's satisfied your inquiry there. If you do need to dig deeper, we can. We're here to do exactly that. Question from Jordan: can a senior citizen of 72 years of age get new private health insurance? Can you insure somebody of that age?
Yes, but it's a basic plan, basic coverage, and small limits insured, like 5,000 to hospitalization. Okay, are limited. They provide the basic, okay, the basic assistance, but don't have amounts expressive on hospitalization or surgery or other type of assistance, medical assistance.
Right. Okay. Excellent.
So yes, but basic.
Okay, good. Yeah, yes, but basic there for somebody, for example, of 72 years of age. Belinda asks, I'm not sure if this is a more general question about health, and you might be able to elaborate, Belinda, for us with this, and maybe Nuno and Carla can give us some pointers on this, or us other expats for that matter. We arrive in Portugal. Could you walk us through the steps of how we obtain healthcare from the start? Belinda, you probably need to tell us, is that the public system, or how do you approach Winsurance for a healthcare quote? Do you want to address that, Nuno, about the public system here in Portugal, and whether the idea of mixing and matching policies have become, of taking advantage or using the public healthcare system and mixing that with a private policy? Yes.
Actually, the public healthcare system is pretty good. In 2018, Portugal, the Portuguese system, public system, was ranked at 13th place. So it's pretty good. And people could have healthcare on emergency, doctors having a baby, a basic dental care, very basic dental care, and things like that. Also vaccines. But the problem is there are a waiting list too long, sometimes 2 years. So does the people could wait for it? That's one thing. The other thing is the public, when we access to the public system, in case of a surgery, we stay in the hospital in a room with 6, 8, 10 people with a shared bathroom. And if we access to the private sector, we'll stay on a single room with a private bathroom. And this is very important when someone is on a situation like that.
Yes, of course. Absolutely. So the system as it stands is very good and rates well in comparison to other health systems across Europe and the world indeed. But that's the bit you might not find out about is the length of the waiting list and the circumstances you face in terms of the hospitality, I suppose you could put it, inside the hospital, right?
Yes, that's it.
Okay, and Clive asks, do you qualify for the Portuguese state health system once you become a resident? I mean, the sense I get, in Portugal is that nobody gets turned away anyway. If you go, that was my experience in an emergency in the hospital.
Exactly.
It's not like the worst kind of fear that I, as I understand it in America, you before you'll be seen, you have to get your credit card out. You will be seen in a Portuguese hospital, won't you? The reception is quite amazing here, in my own personal experience. Would you agree with that?
Yes. There are some videos of what happened in the United States, that people dies because they don't have dies in the hospital entrance because they don't have a private insurance. Here in Portugal, everyone who goes to the hospital receives the treatment. Okay, every urgency is treated like that, and people stays in the hospital. Then they could ask for something, even the number of social security, but all people who accede to the public system is treated.
Yeah, fantastic.
Emergency. I'm talking of emergencies, okay?
Yes, indeed. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. It's worth pointing that out. So to answer your question, Clive, yes, an amazing system here in Portugal. And you don't get turned away. It's not a kind of cynical system. You will be looked after, and again, that's my experience. How it's paid for is dealt with later, after the emergency and after your care is taken care of. And it is part of being a resident here is access to the public health system. So Neil asked, Nuno, as a broker, are you just recommending one insurer that you work closely with, or are you looking at all the insurance underwriters in the market that offer the best premium for each person's specific needs, i.e. age and previous condition? I think you've touched on this before, but let's elaborate on that. What's your method?
Yes, we work with pretty all the insurance, and according the needs of each people, we drives for one or another. It depends of the situation. Yeah. So we work with all the insurance.
Okay.
Actually, just to mention, there are mainly three networks of medical healthcare, and then the insurers are supported by these three networks. Okay. And then each insurance decides what they want to cover and they want to pay for.
Okay, and that is the detail that one needs that you'll discuss with your client, yes. and that they can pick accordingly. Okay, yes. So good question from Jeff. Good evening, Jeff. If it's only basic for over 70s, is it worth having? So what would you get? As you mentioned, if you're in your 70s, yes, there is insurance, but it's quite basic. Is it better than what you would just get ordinarily from the public system?
Well, I think we already talked something about that, because about it. It gives a basic. It's a basic plan. So it provides a basic coverage, but it provides a coverage. And the question is, can I wait for apply to a doctor to have a visit of my doctor, or to do entrance to an hospital to have a surgery? Can I wait? And this is the question. Can I wait?
Yes.
So it's basic. Yes, it's basic, but it's something.
Okay, so the access and the waiting times may be reduced by having the additional private.
Yes, totally.
Okay, and so Rebecca asked, what's an example of a service? I don't know if you'll be able to answer this. I mean, this is more of a sort of health service question, but what might an example be of the procedures that have a 2-year waiting time? What are the long lists in Portugal?
It depends of the pathology. Because for one are too long waiting lists, and for other pathologies they are more short. So these don't happen to all the clinic situations or the pathologies. It depends.
And of course,
right now, all the system. Right now, all the system is focused on the COVID. So all the other pathologies are putting behind, and the waiting list is bigger and bigger each day.
Okay. And again, would I be right in assuming that if you have private medical care, it may still be faster despite the pandemic effect?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Somebody's asking, is there an upper age limit? I don't like to be indelicate and ask what that might be if it's somebody in our audience tonight. But who's the oldest person you've insured as an example, or what are the upper limits?
Not I, but special insurance which we work with. The oldest person that I know, I don't know if he was or is a woman with 103 years old.
Okay, well, there's hope for us all. That's good. That's good. I thought you were going to say 79, 103 should do it, right? For most people, I'm thinking. Fantastic. All right. So going back to Roberta's question then, not sure we addressed or understood the repatriation thing there. So repatriation to the United States before receiving residency in this case that Roberta's talking about would cost a lot more than €8,000, which I've seen quoted. Depending on the problem, repatriation to the US could cost upwards of $250,000 or more. So the question is he saying the Portuguese policy will be with repatriation, or to repatriation of a person to Portugal or the US? So I'm still not quite sure I understand this, Roberta, but you're talking about, I guess, the difference between a Portuguese policy, which might fly somebody home to the US. Do you have any experience of that, Nuno, of somebody being repatriated? Because the point you were making was that would be an accident insurance rather than standard healthcare, right?
Yes. We are experiencing with it on workers' compensation, personal accidents, travel insurance, but not with health insurance. We don't have any people that need to be repatriated.
Okay, so it would be a special policy to do with being a visitor.
Yes.
Tourism insurance. Any idea of cost?
I think so, but we'll check, and then if you allow us, we can respond.
Well, Carla's taking care of it in the comments. Said, yeah. So it's something you can talk about specifically there.
Yes,
Roberta. Okay. I think people still have the question about whether the access to the public system is possible or not. And I think, referring back earlier on to the part of the conversation Nuno and I were having, that you won't be turned away, will you, from a Portuguese hospital? You will be looked after. You will be looked after in the Portuguese system. So moving on then, Jeff, is there any news regarding what happens for British people? And if, when it happens, will we need private health insurance? I'm not sure. I don't know. That sounds a little bit outside your area of expertise, Nuno, to me. But I don't want to assume that. Do you know what's happening between the relationship between the British and Portuguese health systems after post-Brexit?
I don't know, but I suppose that once they need a visa, okay, to entrance in Portugal, they also need a health insurance.
Right.
And I think this is something with a couple of months, a novelty with a couple of months.
Right.
Because until then, the Portuguese authorities didn't demand health insurance.
Okay. Yes.
I think.
So the change of status with the Brits becoming a third country. So I guess, the bottom, it's a bit unsure at the moment, but it's very likely to be a prerequisite of a visa to have your own private
health insurance. Yes.
Okay. And Angie is asking if Carla can unmute and talk on camera as well. You've been requested, Carla, to speak as well, if you want to.
Okay.
Here she is, everybody. What's your role in the business, Carla? Do you want to introduce yourself as well?
Okay. Good evening to everyone. Sorry.
I said by public demand. You're here now.
Okay. Hello, my name is Carla. I'm business developer and account manager, and I work with some lines in Winsurance. And I can help in any questions you have, some of the ones you made in the chat. Maybe I can clarify about Nuno has a lot of things where he has to be facing, so I'm here to help him, and that's my role inside the business. About the repatriation, I think we need to clarify one thing. We work with a special company that can provide us to annual agreements or annual contracts or policies, as you wish to understand, that can cover the repatriation and even under this situation of COVID. But of course, it has to be under your special needs. As well under the health insurance, because we work with several insurers, and not all the insurers are for each one of us. So they are different solutions. And the insurance sector, it's something that it's very, very demanding, the approximation with the client to understand your needs. And after we can design the best solution. I think it's my intervention.
Thank you very much. That will please Anne, who requested that you.
I don't know if you have any other questions. If you want.
Well, keep those coming. I think we're up to date with what we've been asked so far. Remind me if I'm not, everybody. If there's something I've missed in the comments.
No,
sorry. No, I wanted to ask you both about working with expats. Are there specific things that come up in working with expats that you wouldn't normally be dealing with Portuguese people, for example?
Yes, there are. Do you want to answer, Carla?
Yes, please, Nuno.
Yes.
What would you like?
Answer, Nuno.
Well, Portuguese people, and we are talking related to insurance. Is that so?
Absolutely. Well, you can broaden it if you want. But yes, let's keep it on insurance for the moment and in health insurance.
But firstly, I must say that I maybe I am half expat because I'm half Portuguese, half Spanish. So
useful perspective. Okay.
Yes. But related to insurance, it's all about culture. Because for Portuguese understand insurance has a cost, not as a protection or a plan B. It's if something wrong happens. And usually expats or foreign people understand or look to a insurance policy has something that could help. Something that it's better be there, but it's better don't need it. And special to health insurance, when we present a quote to a Portuguese, he do the calculations and say, well, I only spend 300 euros a year in, I don't know, whatever. So it's too much for me. And it's not a problem. The problem is not the 300 euros. The problem could be a surgery that demands, I don't know, 30,000 or something like that. It's not too expensive. It's not so expensive as it was, as it is in United States, but it's expensive surgery rather than visiting a doctor. Okay. So it's very different.
So it's a cultural difference then, and
yes.
I suppose it's not such a big shock for people coming from the United States who are used to paying a lot more. I'm sure you've seen the surprised and pleased look on the faces of Americans when you give them their quotes, right?
But even in Europe, you have that kind of policies, and it's just even in Europe, it's a culture, because if you go to Switzerland, they are used to pay, imagine, a month for 300 or 400 or 500 euros, but they go to the hospital and they have all the assistance without a limit. And it's how the contracts are designed as well. It's very different, but mostly it's the culture, because I think people that are used to insurance culture, they are, even we were talking about that today, me and Nuno, they are more preventive.
Yeah, and
they represent less cost to the companies, and that's why maybe on foreign countries things are designed on other way, not like in Portugal. But I don't think that's a problem, because there's a changing in the mindset, and even the insurers start to feel that they have to provide other solutions, because we are getting older, much older than the younger ones. And I think it's a matter of time, and there are solutions that now.
Fascinating cultural differences, but
yeah,
safe to say it works very favorably for people coming from the United States to Portugal.
Yes,
I think that's
someone's here.
A very interesting question. Talking about a change in culture, do private medical schemes in Portugal cover homeopathic treatments or other alternative treatments, or is it mainly sort of mainstream conventional medicine treatments?
There are some insurance that provide it, but that I know, only two insurance provide it. Only two insurance provide it.
Right, and is that specifically with homeopathy or general sort of alternative? And
yes. I can say you a couple of. There are a couple homeopathy.
The alternative medicine. I think it's better to put under that name. It's alternative medicines, and you have a lump sum for that.
Okay,
that's
all right.
There are five medical specialties. I don't know if this is the word recognized through the SNS, the Portuguese health system. And those are the one that are included, or two healthcare plans insurance.
Okay, so 5 kinds of therapies. I think we can guess what they might.
Yes, 5.
5 would probably know that. Osteopathy might be in there, and herbalism perhaps. But that's a great question, Clive. Thank you for that. Just to clarify something from Kent. Thanks, Kent. Good evening to you. To get a visa, you need proof of insurance. And is it difficult for people to do that from the American end of things, or can you just do that very, very straightforwardly over the phone and internet?
You can do it. No, once you have the fiscal number or your fiscal representative here in Portugal, you can do insurance, health insurance. Until you don't have that documentation ready, you can't.
Yes. Okay. So everything
it's demanding. It's mandatory to have already a fiscal representation or a fiscal number. Until you don't, you can't.
I think regulars to these webinars will have understood now that all of financial life in Portugal revolves around the NIF number. Okay, so it's one of the first things to do to take care of.
No, it's true. Otherwise, you will not be able even to have light inside your house.
Okay, interesting. All right, as drastic as that, and you may be you'll be asked for it in the supermarket. Interestingly, as well, when you start shopping in the supermarket here in Portugal. I mean, you can buy without giving the number, but they do ask you to put it against your spending as well. Interesting system. So make sure you got the once you got the NIF or contribuente is also contribuente. Then and there's another name. TIN is another. There are 3 different names for it, aren't there? The TIN, the NIF, and the contribuente, I think, but mainly known as the NIF number. Make sure you get that as the basis of all your transactions and financial life in Portugal. Once you've got that, Ken, you can do it from probably anywhere in the world, can't you? Because you then have access with the NIF number to getting the quote and taking out the policy. Jimmy, is that same Jimmy from Baltimore? Not clear about age limits. Can you insure 77-year-olds coming on a D7? And my wife is 58. I think we're good there. Basically, we were saying you can get a policy, but it will be more basic. And that great news that somebody of a 103 that was covered through colleagues of Winsurance as well. What is a good level of hospitalization cover? As I've read, costs are much lower on the whole than in the USA. Same question for prescription medicines and dental. So this is good to go into. What is available? You know, if that's what you're asking, Jeff, you know, how comprehensive is the hospitalization cover? What do you qualify for, and what could you give us as a kind of rough estimate of cost here? I know that's difficult because it varies from person to person, but can you give a kind of case study on that?
Okay, so related to the amount, the limit, I would say that 60,000 is pretty comfortable. According to our experience, we never have a client that achieve that amount. Never, ever, never.
Okay.
So it will be an amount very, very comfortable. Related to what is covered through inpatient coverage, I think this is the question. Everything since you enter in the hospital to stay to leave it until leave it, everything is covered. The stay, the room, the operation, the medicamentos, the medicines,
prescriptions,
everything.
And
Yes, everything is included.
Paper?
Yes.
Everything.
Yes. And you have another thing that today costs can increase, and even in private hospitals with oncology and serious diseases, the thing is, okay, we don't have that the understanding about the amount we can achieve, but the thing is the costs can go higher, but it's not normal. However, depending on the needs of the person and their concerns, I think because we don't have only the health insurance, you have the oncology insurance for people who wants to be covered for those kind of things, or for serious diseases, if they travel a lot, if they want to go abroad. So it depends a lot. We can say, okay, the average expenses in hospitalization, it's 60,000 euros. We can tell that. We can't. We can say that, okay, it's achievable and maybe enough, but the thing is, it depends a lot of the health condition of the person and their concerns.
Okay, and it's a blessing then that you're contactable by phone and it's a personal service, because that sort of stuff will be a nightmare to do via forms on the internet, right?
I think it's very confusing that because the insurance, it's something that it's very personal.
Yes.
And that's why we counsel insurance, because insurance, it's all about the person and her needs and their family and their concerns. That's why we can talk a lot about all the proposals and all the insurers, but maybe the policy that's adjusted for me, maybe it's not for you, Carl. Okay. You know, that's why. But I think it's good to those questions to pop up, exactly for the people think about their concerns and what they really need to be under this kind of policy.
Good point. Thank you very much. Okay, so going on further with Jeff's question there. So prescription medicines and dental. Can you tell us about some of the policies? I mean, I guess you mentioned it there. Prescriptions would be part of the hospitalization and, you know, outpatient part of the policy. What about dental and dental policies? Can you give us an idea of monthly cost and what you get access to for that?
Yes, the dental policies that we have in the market, we can find in the Portuguese market, actually are like discount policies that gives a discount of each intervention. Okay, and those policies are very cheap, something like €8 a month, okay, 80 years annually. For the other hand, we have the coverage of dental assistance on the healthcare plans, and this coverage we can have a limit of €500, €200, €1,000. I think is the
it's the limit, yes.
the limit that we have.
Under the health insurance, yes. Under the health insurance, yes.
So it is possible to underwrite a policy isolated to dental healthcare, but usually we put the coverage, dental coverage, through the plan, the whole plan of the global plan of healthcare insurance.
Interesting. Okay, thank you very much. Moving on then to Jeff's question about being a snowbird or a swallow. I don't know how you refer to the expats who spend the summer in Portugal and then fly back home in the winter. There's probably a Portuguese word for that. And that's what Jeff is. What's the word, Carla?
No, nothing.
Oh,
nothing.
but you understand the situation here. Jeff's calling himself a snowbird, and I've heard this condition referred to as the swallows as well, who come back and forth, visiting for the foreseeable future in the holiday home out of season, November to March. So the other way around, yeah. Can I get short-term health insurance or just stick with an insurance they've already got through Saga? Their 3-month special policy is £350, British pounds. So can you insure people who are in and out of the country like that?
We can, but we need to know about the individual situation because of the waiting periods. Because if the people is away from Portugal from 60 days, they don't have coverage outside Portugal. So we need to know more about the individual situation.
Okay, Jeff, worth a call, I think.
It's possible, but could then don't have
a chat.
Insurance.
A chat's required by the sound of it there. Okay, so Andy has a bit here. There seem to be 3 tiers of insurance. The basic cover from banks, like the Medish system. 2, like astronomically expensive international insurers, which I'm sure you'll be familiar with. And 3, the Portuguese insurers, which are not cheap, but similar to the UK. Are you working with Portuguese insurers? Asks Andy.
Yes, only related to health insurance. We only work with the Portuguese insurers.
Okay.
No, but let's see, Portuguese, but we have worldwide insurance companies that are represented in Portugal. So it's the same thing.
Yes.
You can talk. The Allianz, it's in UK, but it's in Portugal. It's not the same thing. It's better because maybe we can make some confusing telling. Okay, we work only with Portuguese insurance, and people see Allianz in UK and see Allianz in Portugal and think, okay, this is not, no. Allianz, when it's in Portugal, it's a Portuguese insurer and is regulated under these conditions. And the products are different, the coverages are different, and it happens with Zurich. I saw that someone already lived in Switzerland, so maybe has some experience, and Zurich is very strong there. But things here, they are worldwide, but they are adjusted to the Portuguese regulation.
Okay, so
but we mostly work with those Portuguese companies. Yes.
So it's like a national policy, but with a globally underwritten, a multinational insurance company. By
yes.
Okay, got it.
That's right.
Yeah, Anna indeed is in Switzerland and says health insurance is compulsory there. And let's just point out that it isn't compulsory in Portugal, but it is a requirement of the visa here in Portugal. Carolyn is asking, with those 5 complementary alternative therapies, is chiropractic usually one of those treatments that's covered?
Yeah, I can confirm that it's homeopathy, osteopathy, and chiropractor.
Okay.
Chiropractic,
There are
osteopathy,
three.
therapy, herbal medicine, and massage.
Excellent. Massage on health.
Massage.
That's worth knowing. Very good. Okay. We have UK insurance with Aviva and have checked it out that it will cover us in Portugal. But do you think it may be better value getting Portuguese insurance instead? I don't know if you can make a comparison of that kind, but what would you think? Portuguese versus UK prices on health insurance. What's your experience there?
I don't know the policy coverage, but I could say that don't make sense have two policies. It depends. We need to
have a chat
to know.
Have a chat, Jane and Mark, with Nuno and Carla on that. Going back to our sort of case scenario, and in this case, the worst case scenario, can you give a general idea on insurance costs for somebody 70 or over, roughly speaking, for that basic coverage that you spoke of?
The basic coverage, I think annually is something like 700 euros.
Okay.
I think,
right.
But I could check right now.
So roughly speaking, there 700 for the year for somebody in their 70s.
Yes, yearly. Okay. Yes, I think so.
Annual cost there for you there.
Yes, yes, basic.
Okay, Ken Albin, NIF is everything. Got it. That's yes. That comes up in most of our webinars. Absolutely. Jeff's asking, can you get a family policy? And if so, does that have benefit to the older members of the family? So is the cost averaged out across the family if you get a family policy?
Yes, they have a discount.
Okay. All right. So it works well to have a few youngsters in the mix there to bring the overall cost down.
Just to clarify, we can do a policy insurance for all the family, but the limits is for each people. Okay, it's not a limit to all the family. It's a limit for each person insured, each insured person.
Okay. All right, thanks, Nuno. If I have a private plan, says John, something booked through you, for example, through Winsurance, can I also use the national system? There's no reason why you couldn't do that, is there?
Yes, you can. Could use it, yes.
Go ahead, okay. V. David asks, could you clarify getting the health insurance through your bank? I think Winsurance would say, speak to us as well. I think, I could answer that from my own personal experience. Yeah, if you open a bank account, they'll probably try and sell you health insurance anyway. I think Nuno wants to answer that though.
No, yes, I could say that the best way to decide it is ask questions about the insurance and then
make the comparison.
You decide.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Jeannie, good evening, Jeannie King. I have TRICARE, that's the US military insurance. Is that adequate? Or could I possibly get care in Spain? So it sounds like the US military insurance allows for some procedures in Spain. Do you have any experience of that one, or is that a bit too specialist? No. A bit too specialist.
I don't have. Has you, Carla? Have you?
Sorry, I was answering to a person. Sorry.
With the American system, the TRICARE, have you any experience of that? Do you know?
No.
Fair enough.
I don't.
A bit specialist for us tonight.
And that's a very special program for sure in the US. So.
Okay. Roberta, please discuss insurance waiting periods for private plans if this has not already been discussed. Okay, so yeah, we haven't discussed that except to say it will likely be quicker if you have a private plan. So what might the waiting times be if you are on a private healthcare plan?
The waiting period, normal 90 days, 60 days for ambulatory assistance, hospitalization as well. For birth, 1 year, and mostly it's this. They can decrease to 60, but it depends on the insurer. But almost always 60 days to 90 days.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you for that. This from Anne. What would it cost in premiums for a 65-year-old to be treated for cataracts? So that presumably is a pre-existing condition, isn't it? So I mean, what can anything be done with that?
No. If it's a pre-existing condition, insurance will not cover it.
Okay. So it might be worth looking at a private procedure for that, or waiting and going with the national health system.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Continuing, Roberta, please also discuss any situations where a prolonged private hospitalization may cross over to the national health system. So does that sometimes happen? If it was, if it were an extended difficulty, hospitalization, might it transfer from private to public ultimately, or would you continue to be covered by your private policy?
Yes, yes. They could be transferred.
They will, yeah. They can be transferred.
Yes.
When you achieve your lump sum, the amount of your coverage, or you can choose, or you pay your treatments according to the price protocol. Usually, it's what it's applied, or you are transferred to the public health system.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
It's not a problem.
Good to know. Thank you, Caroline. So chiropractic care is just an aside, really. Chiropractic care is considered an alternative medicine. Interesting. So in Portugal, that's the case, is it? It's seen as an alternative? Because I know it's very sort of run-of-the-mill and ordinary in the United States. Okay. So seen as alternative.
Yes, it is.
From V. David, do you work with Medal? Is that a company you work with? Are you familiar with that one?
With? Medalis?
Yeah. MEDAL.
Medis? Maybe it's Medis.
No.
Maybe she's telling Medal, but maybe it's Medis.
Okay.
It's Medis.
Okay.
But Medal, we don't have. Maybe Medical, but Medical, it's not a life insurance. Sorry, it's not an health insurance. It's a plan. Maybe it's Medical. Okay, we can have a confusion here, communication confusion.
All right.
If Medal can be Medis, and Medis it's an health insurance, or Medical, but Medical it's not an health insurance. It's a plan with a discount. It's not the same thing.
It's a
card.
Discount.
Yes, discount. Okay. Yeah.
Well, that's something that people here might not be familiar with. So
yes, that's why
you can get insurance and you can get these discount systems as well. How do they work?
You pay a treatment under discount, but it's not. Sometimes you get some surprises, because when you are going to pay, maybe you are not going to pay what you are expecting. That's why,
okay.
And maybe the bill can be much more larger than your old furniture.
And so why then, may I ask, do they exist? Are they a way of people sort of gambling a little bit, hoping for a discount and hoping that nothing too bad happens, that might be covered by a health policy?
They are much more cheaper. That's why.
Okay. All right. So
that's why.
A better value.
But let me clarify another thing, that in Portugal is very usual.
Yes.
That if someone achieves the limit, then the insurance that he or she has actually is then a discount.
Yeah.
Function as a discount on the up limit. Okay.
All right. Yes. Okay. And a percentage discount. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I think people will get the idea from that. So as we conclude on this segment, and you've been amazing, you two, Nuno and Carla. Thank you for taking an hour-long grilling about various aspects of health insurance here in Portugal. We'll go to a more sort of open situation at around the past point. But I do want to talk about prescriptions. And how, for example, Earl says we'll come in with about 3 months worth of medication. How long to get prescriptions transferred over to Portugal? Now, of course, there is some availability as a resident through the national health system. But what about with private coverage? How will prescriptions be covered? And again, is it discounted? Is there some sort of discount that's offered on ongoing prescriptions?
When you mention prescriptions, you are referring
medicines.
to medicines.
Medicines, yes.
Okay, so it's very easy to obtain it if it's something possible. For instance, right now it's very usual that people has video calls with the doctors or by phone, yes. And then the doctors send to the email or to the mobile phone the prescription, and people just need to go to the phone at the pharmacy and buy.
Yeah. But I think what was asked, it's yes, they have an amount for prescriptions, and it's applied a deductible. That deductible, if it was a prescription under the public healthcare system, it will have a higher deductible than if it's the private doctor. It's different, but it depends on the health insurance as well. Okay, because certain health insurance doesn't have prescriptions.
Okay. All right, and one final question, and then we'll round off, and there can be sort of open questions after that when we end the recording. But does the oncology insurance cover clinical trials if a patient wants to be considered for those? Any experience of that? Apparently not.
Maybe not. I don't think clinical trials are experiments.
Are excluded.
For sure.
Excluded.
For
sure.
It's not covered, yes. For sure.
Okay, there you go, Roberta.
Only if the company have some special condition. I know that was an event with KUF with a robotic experiment where I think it was Fidelidade. They opened the experiment to the patients, but it was something that it's not usually that not usually happen. It must be under certain special conditions, but it's better not to see that as an option.
Okay.
Yes, it's one of the exclusions of the wordings.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Thank you for addressing that for Roberta. Well, thank you so much for an hour of facing questions there. Brilliant. And I suspect we'll be having you back again sometime in the future. Thank you for being with us tonight. And we'll throw the mics open now as we end the recording. But it seems, in summary, the thing to do, you know, the sort of the big note to self for me here is that it's really important to find out what the personal circumstances are and have a chat. And you know, you've given us some generalizations here, and you've introduced us to some of the theories of how it all works. But clearly, a phone call is going to be the right way to move forward and find out the specifics, so you can get tailor-made. Thank you so much, Nuno Mendes and Carla Reis from Winsurance tonight for being with us here.